Hello, this is Margaret Fetty from the University of Sewing at the Tailored Fit, and I'm here today to show you how to clean out your sewing machine and to oil it. And we are referring today to our black bobbin machines, and that's the machines that use the jumbo bobbins. So your 4 series, your 5 series, your 7 series, this will all work for those. And right today we have a 570 in front of you, so this one is a very popular machine, so hopefully this will help you out in figuring out how to take care of your machine. Starters. What we are going to do is we are going to remove our table. Number 2, we're going to take out our bobbin. So our bobbin is here. We're going to take it out. The reason we call this a black bobbin machine is we have a black bobbin and a black bobbin case right now, but there are a red case and a gold case for this, so I couldn't call it a black bobbin case machine. We have to call it a black bobbin because that's what we're putting in it. So we're going to set our bobbin case and our bobbin aside right over here. We are going to remove our foot, and we're going to get around here to show you how this foot comes off, because there's a little lever here and sometimes this is a little confusing. So you're going to take the lever and put your finger on it and pull it towards the back of the machine, and then we pull straight down on our foot. So we've done those 2 things. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle out of the sewing machine. That's so we don't get stabbed. We don't want to get stabbed doing this. That seems rather silly. Now, there's a bullseye right here, because we're going to remove the stitch plate. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to try pushing our thumb on it. You might need to if your fingers are kind of weak. Some of my customers have a little bit of a problem with that. But use both of them and you can generally get that up. Pop up the left side, take it out. Now, I want to show you something on the plates, the stitch plates. You've got these little clips. If you don't treat these properly, you can break them off. And it's kind of a pain because they got a little weld spot and then they got a screw. If you break them off, you need a new plate, which would stink. These plates are not inexpensive, so let's be careful with them. And I'll show you how to put it back on. Remember, you start off, you press the button on the left side, and then, you press the button on the right side, and then you pop it off on the left. When we go to put this back in, we're going to do it the opposite way. We're going to put it in on the right side and push it into the left side. So we don't have anything here in our bobbin area. So now what we're going to do, there's a little button right over here, and it's right there. And we're going to get there. I'm doing this blind, guys, and why can't I feel it? Oh, there it is. Excuse me. Right there. So I pushed on this little folded metal piece right there. And we're going to pop everything out. All this comes down. Do not try to separate this from the metal piece. It's supposed to be like that. Then you're going to see the center part right here. You got that? So once you see that center part, you can put your hand in there and gently pull on it because there's a magnet holding it in place. And then you can bring that right out. And you'll have to angle it a little bit. It's not just going to come out super simple. Okay, so we're going to come back in here and we're going to talk about how we're going to clean it. Now, this will also work. Say you get a thread jam. You want to take off your feed dogs. You want to remove your bobbin case. You may not have to take this apart, but if you get a really bad thread jam, you might have to. So this is the same process for taking care of it. And if you break a needle, make sure you find all the needle parts. And this is a good way to be able to see in here well enough to make sure you can do that. Right here, see this where I'm kind of pointing to with this little pointer? And right here, that is all part of the mechanism that cuts the threads for your sewing machine. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to make sure there isn't any threads caught up in that. Now, to do that, we're going to have you come up to our screen and see the little house button? Press on the house button. Now you've got this screen, and see where there is a gearbox? two little gears kind of going together. We want to press on that. The next thing we're going to do, see the thing that looks like a sewing machine? Press on that. Now we have something that looks like a little wrench. So we're going to press on that. So there's one that looks like you're sweeping something out. Well, what this is referring to is cleaning out our thread catcher. And that's what they call the thing that cuts your threads. So we're going to touch that. So it has a written description telling you what you're going to do. Basically what they've told you to do is get the machine to where I have it right now. You have everything taken apart. There's no needle, no feet, nothing to get you. And so what you're going to do is you read through the steps, and then it's going to tell you to press on this link. So I pressed on it, and now it's going to tell me to press this button that has the scissors on it. So what just happened is all the mechanism moved here to the right side of the machine. What you're going to look for right now are there any lint? Is there any threads? Now, at this point, what I would recommend that you consider purchasing if you don't own one is a very good quality pair of tweezers. I like these because they have this nice sharp edge. They really do pick up things very well, and they've got a teeny tiny point at the end, so I can get any threads out of anywhere around here. Now, if you saw those metal pieces, did you see how skinny they are? They're really little and skinny. When you look at your machine, you'll see. Do not bend these. If you bend them, that will break them, and they will not work anymore, and you will have to get them replaced, and that's not inexpensive. So when you are cleaning out threads from here, make sure that you're careful about how you pull on the threads. What you don't want to do is be very forceful and pull things out like there's a death grip on something. Work it out. Use your scissors with a nice tiny point on them if you have to cut the threads out, if you've got a thread jam. Just be really careful. Now, after I've got all the threads and lint removed, oh, by the way, we do sell those nice little tweezers. So the next part of this description, it's going to tell you to press the button again and to press the scissors again. Now everything has slid back into its original spot. So we've got everything back in here and it's right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to look down into the area where the hook for your machine, that's what this is called. This is called a hook. This little guy right here, he's a hook. And it's what picks up your needle thread and interconnects the bobbin thread to make a stitch. So what you're going to do is you're going to look in this area, get your brush, clean any lint and dirt, do the same thing around here. If everything looks clean, then I want you to look at your hook. Look at it front and back. Is there any dust and dirt? If there are, dust it away. Again, be careful. There's a spring on here. You don't want to damage that. Don't be rough with these pieces. So now I want to show you, see these two little slots? Now I want you to see in here, see this slot in the opposite area slot? So the way to put this back in the machine, and we're going to put it back in the machine in just a second, is we've got to line those slots up with those protruding little pieces of metal, and this will fit back on there. And you can kind of see that it's see-through through there, so those fit on top. Now we have to oil the machine before we put everything back together again. There is a little pad right here and another one right here. You are going to put a single drop of oil on each of those pads. You will be able to tell when your machine needs oil because it will get loud and cranky. So after we oil that spot and that spot, and by the way, you should have received a bottle of oil, something like this, or perhaps you have a pen like this. We carry both of them. I think going forward, this is what Bernina is going to offer, and it's got a little point on it, and you have to put a pin in here and you will have to open that up so that the oil gets in there. So once you go ahead and do that, you should be able to put just a little bit of pressure on the bottle and drop a drop in there and a drop in there. If it happens, and it happens to everybody, if you end up with spilling some of this, a Q-tip will clean it up pretty well, or a piece of soft cloth. Again, try not to get anything caught on those wires. That's your spring for your bobbin case, and you don't want to damage that. After we get it oiled, we are going to go ahead and put this back in here. And notice I come down and put it in. Now, if I get everything lined back up, did you hear that little click? That was because the magnet pulled it to the right position. And what I should see is in those little slots, right there and right there, we should see that being filled by a little metal piece. And when you go to do this, make sure that that little area that had like kind of a little chunk cut out of it, that's the hook part of your hook. And make sure that that's in more or less upright position. It's not going to be upside down. It's going to be right side up, meaning up this way's to the top and this is to the bottom. That chunk will be up right here. So we've got that in here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to press this closed. Hear that click? You should hear that click. Now, if I've done it correctly, and sometimes I haven't, what I should be able to do is go over to my hand wheel and turn it, and you'll see that this comes down and it's going to go back up. Okay, make sure it goes back up about as far as it can. Once you've done that, then what you can do is, you've known this didn't pop back out and nothing fell out. I know I have it in there already. So then what we can do is we can go ahead and, we have to wait for, we have one more drop of oil to do. I forgot about the one more drop of oil. Before we put the stitch plate back on, before we do anything else, we're going to put one more drop of oil. And that last drop of oil, when we turn our hand wheel, I don't know if you can get in here and see this, but the hook, you'll see this fill with metal. And see, when I turn it, there's a gap. See, there's really nothing in there. And then when I turn it, you see the metal right there? Put one drop of oil right there. After you do that, then the machine is ready for you to go ahead and put everything back together again. So we're going to start off. We're going to put our stitch plate. It's here in the left side, and then I'm going to press straight down, and there it's in place. So put it in from the left side and press it straight down. I'm going to go ahead and put my thread. There's only one way you can put these bobbins in. I don't know if you thought about that or not, but if you try to put them in the wrong way, they won't go. Don't try to force them. They're not supposed to go in the wrong way. They go with the metal. These are sensors, and they go against those metal piece that's inside the bobbin case. So we're going to put that in there. I've got about 6 inches of thread in my hands, and I'm going to hold the bobbin so it doesn't spin. I'm going to pull my thread underneath this wire, and then I'm going to pull on it, tug on it a little bit. You have to do it with a bit of oomph. And see how it's now running under this coil and under this coil. And there it is. That's my bobbin case threaded properly, ready to run my sewing machine. So this goes back in more or less with this middle piece of metal. It's more or less horizontal. Then we're going to cut our thread off right here. We're going to go ahead and here, I disappeared my needle. Well, that's interesting. What did we do with the needle? Ah, it hid on me. Okay, so we are going to put our needle in, And see how far this is down? If I bring that bar back up, this is going to be a lot easier to do. It's almost impossible to put the foot on if the bar's down. There we go. So that is put on. And then I'm going to scoop up onto that cone. Do we see that cone right here? Anybody see that? There's a cone right here. We're going to take the foot. We've got it angled, and then we scoop up. And then we're going to hold the foot with our hand, and then we're going to push this bar back down. Remember, we pushed it up to get the foot up. Now we're going to push it down. This bar does not end up, it ends up at about a 45-degree angle, so don't be surprised that it doesn't go all the way down. It's not supposed to. We're going to close up our machine. We're going to put our little table back on there. Then what I would do is go ahead and thread up your machine and run a scrap piece of fabric on that. Because if there's any excess oil, that'll take care of it and it won't get on your project. Make sure that you do that because you don't want oil on your project. That would be bad. And now your sewing machine should be ready to run and you should be ready to go ahead and use it, and it should sound quieter, which is a lovely thing with a Bernina. We have a website, universityofsewing.com. We have an email, info@universityofsewing.com. We'd love to answer any questions you have. You're welcome to leave them in the comments too. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.